So when you come to the Royal Society, here in the foyer, where it's all happening, well, you'll probably meet Moses on security. You've met him before, keeping an eye over everything. You're okay. The president of the Royal Society has stopped there for us to film. You come on through, Mr. President. You're the boss. You can come through. We're making a film about your mace.
Oh, make the film about the mace. I always joke that the only thing that has to be there for the core age of meeting is the mace.
So when you come here to the Royal Society in the main foyer, one of the first things you see is the official mace. It's normally sitting there in that fancy case, but Keith is getting it out and we're going to see it up close. It's about the size of a small person. 7-year-old, you'd say? Yeah, that's about right. Is that like the official way you have to carry it?
It is, unless the Queen is present, in which case you carry it a different way.
Really?
Yeah. There's a whole etiquette of mace carrying.
So that's the way you carry it normally. How do you carry it if the Queen... Oh, you can't show me how to do it.
Well, she's not here, so I can't show you.
Not that we want to draw any attention to ourselves, but look at this massive mace we've got.
Yeah. One of the hazards, of course, is that people immediately get their iPhones out and want the picture taken with the mace if you're passing.
Of course. Lovely.
And there it stands.
Give us the executive summary. What is its proper name and what is this thing?
This is a silver gilt ceremonial mace. It was presented to the Royal Society by King Charles II, who was our first patron, and it dates from 1663. So if you think that the Royal Society began in 1660 and had its first meetings in November of that year, this mace has been with the organisation for most of its history. And its function is to stand in for the patron. In official Royal Society meetings and council, it is placed in front of the president to represent the monarch. So here we go. It's decorated in various styles, particularly with the symbols for countries, so that you can see probably here we have a harp for Ireland. And I'm just going to turn it. So we have a thistle there, Scottish thistle. Turn it again, so we have the English rose.
Yeah, and there's England, all right.
Yeah. Right at the bottom, you'll see that there's an inscription there.
Ex Magnificentia Augusti Funi Monica Naturalis something?
Yeah.
Institute? 1663, I can read that
That's
bit.
right. So it's recording the munificence of King Charles II in presenting this to the Royal Society in 1663.
Okay.
And it's one of the things that Charles gave the Royal Society. So as patron, he's effectively giving his seal of approval to the organisation through the charters he gave. And this is another sign that he well approved of the organisation.
So this sits in all of the meetings. It's going to be used in a meeting later today. In fact, hopefully right now, through the magic of video editing, you are seeing it being put in place for the start of a council meeting of the Royal Society.
That's right. If you think of any of the famous scientists who have been part of the Royal Society's council or have been a president of the Royal Society, all of these great figures would have known this object. It would have been very familiar to them and they would have sat in front of it. Very occasionally they would have their portraits painted with the mace in there as a symbol that they were the president of the Royal Society.
Keith, if this mace could talk, I mean, that would be amazing if it could talk, but if it could talk...
That would be unusual, certainly. Yeah.
It would have some stories to tell.
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to ask? What's
Go
it worth?
ahead.
What's it
right.
worth?
Well, that's a difficult one because these things, on the whole, don't come up at auction.
I don't imagine.
They just don't.
I checked eBay, it wasn't on there.
It's a tricky one. Quite valuable, I think we'd say.
Has anyone ever dropped it?
As far as I know, no one's dropped it. However, it's had some damage. If you have a look at the features at the top here, you'll see some of them have been repaired and they're slightly flattened. So that's the sort of damage you might get if it's.
Oh yeah, look, you can see here. It's really dented on one side there. Do you consider that part of its story now? Or?
I do. I mean, it would be a very simple thing to repair, and it would certainly be a possibility. One wouldn't want to cover up the evidence of earlier repairs because it's part of the history of the object.
I know you can't show me the way to hold the mace when the Queen is here because the Queen's not here. But can you explain it to me how it's different?
Yeah, it's held tilted under the arm.
So over your shoulder when the Queen's not here, under your arm when she is.
Yeah.
Okay. Will you take my picture with it, James?
Oh, Brady's now president.
I'm not president, but
You can dream, you know.
this is a big table that's been made from 1782 through 1783, 1784, showing what the normal wind directions will be. And the thinking is, if all the sailors have things like this, they'll have a good idea what they're going to run into on their voyages.
And if also they collect data along the way, meteorological data, which the Royal Society was very, very keen on, they would be able to gradually build up a picture through the years of what the probabilities were for particular times of weather.